Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I have for you a get ready with me lunch date edition. So this is the makeup that I would wear if I went out with some girls for lunch, or with my mom, or with my dad. Just a little quick get ready with me. I didn't want to do anything too major. I'm not super huge into like doing overly glam looks, just because I feel like my life is not sustainable for that. Like I don't do too many like crazy events, but when I do go out I will do glam makeup. But this is just for like a lunch day, something simple, something casual. I would wear this to school, to work, anything like that. I just picked lunch date because this is typically what I would wear like when I go to lunch. If I go to work, I sometimes will go with no makeup, so I just decided to do a lunch date one. And how many times did I just say lunch date? But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy. I showed all the products in the video. I did a voiceover so you guys can follow along, and I didn't really feel like talking this morning, so I just went ahead and just voiced over this whole video. If you guys have any questions about any of the products that I use, leave it in the comment box below. As always, hit the thumbs up button and the subscribe button. It helps me out a lot, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. The first thing that I use is the Palmer's Cocoa Butter Moisturizing Day Cream, and I believe I showed this in another video. I use it every single day, so it definitely was in my other makeup videos. I just rub this all across my face. Make sure to get the areas that get pretty dry, which is around my nose, around my eyes, and above my eyebrows, surprisingly. And moving on, I go ahead and use the argan oil when I do have eczema around my eyes. During this video, I did have a flare-up of eczema, so the rim of my eyes was kind of dry, and like above my lash line was kind of dry. So before I do my makeup, I always apply argan oil with a little Q-tip, just because it doesn't get everywhere, because you really can't do makeup too much if you use too much argan oil. So I just decided to put it like a little bit on there just to keep it like nice and moisturized so it didn't look cakey or anything like that. And then I moved into foundation, and this is my favorite foundation at the moment, and it's my only foundation that I own. It's the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation. So I typically buy one foundation and use it up, and then I'll buy another one. I'm not a huge like user of foundation, so I don't like to have like more than one at a time because it'll go to waste. But this one is great because it's pretty full coverage and it's really lightweight. And I also mix it with my all-time favorite facial product ever. It's the No. 7 Dual Action Tinted Moisturizer. It's probably the best tinted moisturizer I've ever used in my life. It just blends so well into my skin. It makes me look dewy. It just gives me an all-over glow that I really like. And typically BB creams and tinted moisturizers for me have a grayish undertone, and this one does not. So it took me a lot of tries to find this one, but it's definitely my favorite and I highly recommend it. And moving on here, I went ahead and got into the next step, which I believe is eyebrows. Oh no, I did concealer. So I went ahead and used my Rimmel Match Perfection Concealer, which is a pretty good concealer. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I do like the consistency of it, and I use this one as kind of like getting rid of the darkness under my eyes, because I do use a lighter one to highlight, and I use this one to also cover up any blemishes, which I had a lot this day, surprisingly, around my eyebrows and my chin. I don't know what I was eating that week, but definitely broke me out. Probably a lot of chocolate, to be honest. But yeah, I just blend that in, and I also blend it under my eyes, like I said, just to balance out the darkness, which doesn't look like a whole lot on this camera, but in reality it actually is pretty dark, so I do like to get rid of that. And don't mind my facial expression right there. I was just singing a song. I had music playing while I was getting ready, so I'm not talking to myself or anybody else. I was just singing. And moving on to the next step, I went ahead and grabbed my next concealer, which was the Maybelline Age Rewind Concealer in the shade Medium. It's definitely one of my favorite concealers. I like the applicator. It's just like a spongy type applicator. It does not help with blending in, but I just like the way it comes out. Kind of moderates how much comes out for you, which I like. And it gives me a little bit of like a brighter tone under my eyes instead of just like the exact skin color like the other one. Brightens up the area a little bit for me and gives a little bit more coverage, and I feel like it just makes me look a little more awake than the other one does, so obviously that's the goal of concealer. And I just blend that in with my finger. No need to use like a brush. I'm not like a super huge, makeup guru. I don't have like 50 million brushes for everything. And now moving on to brows, I went ahead and used the NYX brow powder. I personally like powders better because they just give you a more natural look rather than a thicker, more intense look with pomades. I just have found that pomades look too harsh on my face, and brow powder, it's a little more of like a safe zone, so I just went ahead and filled those in. I used the darker shade. There is a lighter one, but I felt like it was a little bit too light for me, so I went ahead and used a little bit darker one, but I still think they look soft and natural, and I try not to fill them in to the point that like you can see super huge lines around my eyebrows. I just want to fill them in so that they're not sparse, and so they frame my face pretty well. And I just do that to both sides, obviously. And once I'm done filling them in, I just run a spoolie through them to give them a little bit more brushed, sort of natural look. That way they don't look too shaped. Like I said, I'm like a huge worrier, and I'm like really insecure about my eyebrows. Like I don't want them to look too painted on, so I try to mess them up a little bit after I fill them in, if that makes any sense. And I went ahead and moved on to face powder, and Airspun is my holy grail face powder. I got introduced to this face powder by a friend of mine, and I will never use any other setting powder in my entire life. Like, it just gives you the most airbrushed look ever. I think I talked about this in another video. It just literally like makes your skin look airbrushed. I don't even know how to describe it. I let my eyes bake a little bit. I don't do too much because it is light for my eyes, and then I move on to mascara. And I started off using the Total Temptation mascara by Maybelline, but I realized that this could have been the reason that my eyes broke out in an eczema sort of frenzy, so halfway through I did stop and decide to use the L'Oreal Telescopic Mascara, which is, again, one of my holy grail products. It is the best mascara in the entire world. Oh wait, JK, I use Lash Sensational. My B. I usually use L'Oreal Telescopic, but today I decided to use this one because I did recently buy this one. The only downside to this is that it's a little bit thick, so you have to be careful how much you coat on, because I'm not a super huge fan of really thick lashes. I like more like airbrushed, kind of like thin lashes, so just be careful with this one. But it does work really well with coating the lashes. That's not really a problem. But yeah, I decided to move on to that, and then I do a couple of coats. I kind of let it dry and get a little bit tacky, and then I do a few more coats just to spring them up again, and that usually works pretty well for me. I have pretty long lashes, so I always end up getting it on my eyelid, but you know, nothing a Q-tip can't fix. And then I went ahead and decided to brush the powder off my under eyes just so I don't look like Casper the Friendly Ghost. And once you brush off the baking powder, you have like a nice set look that doesn't look like dewy, doesn't look too dry, doesn't look too cakey. It's just the right amount of like matte. And then I move into using blush, and I just use my BH Cosmetic blush palette. I just use the neutral shade in the palette just to keep my skin looking fresh and kind of glowy. All the other ones are a little too dark or too pinky for this look, so I went ahead and used like the flesh tone kind of one. Has like a little like of a bronzy sort of tint to it, and I prefer blushes like that rather than like a rosier tint just because of my skin tone, especially in the summertime. And then moving on, I just used a clear lip gloss that I bought from the hair store, but any lip gloss or chapstick will do. I personally don't like to do too many lipsticks in the summertime because it's just so freaking hot, and you know, you're going out to eat with your girlfriend, you're sweating, and it's just not a good look. So just using lip gloss just gives your lips like a little natural sheen and keeps you looking fresh and looking like you did something with your life that day. And the last thing I used was the Mario Badescu setting spray. I just like to use this one because it feels light and refreshing. I've noticed that using like Urban Decay and those like special makeup setting primers are more of like a sticky feeling, and this one feels really light. So that's a wrap for this makeup look. I hope you guys did enjoy. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next one.